It's Saturday the 19th of the 4th, 2025. The time is 22 minutes past 10, and there are very many F1-centric threads at which we need to pull. It is quali day, Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, round 5, Jeddah, Corniche, and I want to understand what's going on. Two topics I want to broach today. Sir Lewis Hamilton and his woes. Why I'm more concerned in a serious undertone type of way. So too, we'll talk about Charles Leclerc, and so too, we'll talk about Mr. Maximilian Verstappen, for some say soon to be 5-time champion, and the potential of him going on a sabbatical. Not my words, the words of one of the goatiest ones, the journo, BBC F1 editor, the one that they call Andrew Benson. Let me show you this in the first instance. We're going through Exhibit A, B and C. Got my cheeky PowerPoint. Just call me King George Russell of Kings Lynn, Norfolk. Let me show you this in the first instance. Okay, so this is going back to FP1, not FP2. So it's not a like-for-like circumstance as far as quali today, which will be held at cooler climes later in the day. FP1 was super hot, and therefore the advantage that McLaren in the form of Lando and OJ Piastri will be bigger than it will be later on today during qualifying. But I want to take a picture. I want you guys to pick and prod at Sir Lewis Hamilton's performance, the delta between him and Charles Leclerc. Now, on over one lap, you know that there's anomalous circumstances. You need to normalise for fuel loads even for setups, etc. But when these guys get into their sim runs, longer runs, then there's some conclusions and some upshots, some takeaways that we can draw. Lewis Hamilton hasn't been having a great time, we know this, but again, that's under the umbrella heading, if we're going to play balanced games, of him acclimatising. He's still in his probation period, honeymoon now. This is round 5. How long would you expect, Sir Lewis, how long would you expect for it to take for me to understand the aspect and the change that is the circumstance that is Scuderia Ferrari, their yellow cars, yellow overalls with the yellow badge, red overalls even. Get your life together, Cameron. Red overalls, yellow badge, black prancing Corsa top. It's very different. We know that the steering wheel has changed. We know that his driving style needs to change. He needs to adapt. He needs to start leveraging engine braking, something that he's never done at Mercedes. So Lewis is getting his head around that again, as far as I'm concerned. And what gives me pause for thought and concern is a difference in extents and not kinds, ladies and gentlemen, during their long runs. You see on the left hand side, or the right hand side of the screen, but on the left, Lewis Hamilton did a 34.1, a 35.3, a 35.9, a 35 flat, and then a 34.9. That gives you an average at the bottom there of 35.0, as versus Charles Leclerc, who was just hanging around 34s, chat, in long form. Leclerc does a 34.4, a 34.4, a 35.2, and then a 34.7. 34s resume, right? 34.6, 34.7, 34.3, 34.7, 33.9, giving Charles Leclerc over the course of those laps an average of 34.6. That's half a second down the road from Sir Lewis Hamilton. And then again, in another stratosphere altogether, in hotter climes, is the McLaren in the hands of Lando Norris. 33.5, 33.7, 33.9, 33.4. All those lap times give you an advantage of 1 second. 33.6 is the average of Lando Norris. But I want to listen. I'm concerned as a Sir Lewis Hamilton fan, despite what the naysayers will say. I'm really concerned now. I think, Houston, we have a problem. Lewis needs to go to the Met Gala and recollect himself, recalibrate, because this is not good. That's why you have Frederick Vasseur saying that Lewis Hamilton also needs to take an adaptability step towards us, in addition to the engineers amending for the car and its handling dynamic. And then what's worse is the Exhibit B. I've watched a lot of Sir Lewis Hamilton interviews even, not just your Drive to Survive ones, going all the way back to 2005, 2006, seeing this fellow on Top Gear twice. I mean, Lewis Hamilton, broadly, as I interpret him, is a bubbly personality. He trends towards happiness and optimism. Seeing him, therefore, post free practice, speaking like this, fills me with woe and dread. Roll the clip. final stanza from Sir Lewis in the interviewer went as thus, in reverse chronological order. The question goes, Lewis, where do you think you can get to tomorrow? Like, when you converge and do all your setup stuffs, like, how far do you think you can go? To which Lewis Hamilton responds, I don't know, mate. From my perspective, I'm just looking to get in the top 10. Does one of these, shaking his head, and that fills me with worry and dread. This isn't even funny, chat. This is not cannon fodder. This isn't banter worthy anymore. I would be lacking in empathy now as a Sir Lewis Hamilton fan if I was to continue taking the mick out of this chat. This just really, really makes me sad. Seeing his demeanour and his body language during that interview, knowing who I know Sir Lewis Hamilton to be, Mr. Positive, laughing, that mischievous laughing giggle when he's doing well, just like he did at Silverstone, just like he did the other day in the sprint race weekend. I want to see that dude. I don't want to see this negative chap, and it concerns me, chat. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari and Frederick Vasseur need to get their arms around this problem and solve for it as soon as possible, forthwith, because I don't think anybody wants to see this. The F1 community, whether you love or loathe Lewis Hamilton, 7-time champion, GOAT settings, first round ballot, Mount Rushmore of F1, Hall of Fame each and every single time. You don't want to see this. Oh, and by the way, the rumour and speculation around Maximilian Verstappen, for some say soon to be 5-time champion, continues to pick up some steam. Where is he going to go? What's he going to do? Are Red Bull going to be able to fix for the RB21 in time to where this dude, for some say soon to be 5-time champion, doesn't need to push the button and null and void his contract with immediate effect over the course of summer break, activating therefore the performance clause? Now listen, all F1 journos are created equally, but some are created more equal than others. Andrew Benson of the BBC is one of the god-tieriest ones, asking the pertinent questions, talking each and every single turn to the pertinent people. Here's what he had to say about Max Verstappen, the stakes, and just how gargantuan the circumstance and aspect is as far as Red Bull desperately clinging on to Max Verstappen as a Red Bull racing driver. Now here is why. Roll the clip.
Over Red Bull, there's no answers, but what Verstappen is doing for them is he's lifting the team to a level that probably no other driver could do. Even if they got, say, George Russell, for example, to replace Verstappen, if Verstappen went to Mercedes, as an example, next year, he's an exceptional driver, but is he as exceptional as Verstappen? So the idea of losing Verstappen, that's why it's of such magnitude over at Red Bull at the moment.
Not even George Russell, therefore, to expound upon Benson's point, is capable of filling that Max Verstappen shaped hole. Not even now that he's in the form of his life, doing Alain Prost settings has become something of a points accumulator, because that's how you win championships, is it not? It's not the highs and the lows, the peaks and the troughs. He's doing like Alain Prost used to overcome a natural talent deficit in 1989 on Ayrton Senna. Just accumulate points each and every single race, and that's what King George Russell of King's Lynn, Norfolk is doing. But even then, even now, he's realising who he is in final form, optimising for his probability and his capability. The probability, the likelihood even that he can win races and championships, even now, he's not capable of replacing, according to Benson, not my words, his, even now, he's not capable of filling that Maximilian Verstappen shaped hole if indeed that dude chooses to leave Red Bull. Oh, and by the way, you know already that there's been talk about Max Verstappen taking a cheeky break, maybe intra-year, maybe inter-year. To that point, again, the legend that is Andrew Benson on the Checkered Flag podcast responds as follows. Roll the clip.
Intriguing stories around Verstappen at the moment is that he could maybe take a sabbatical next year, just see how the rules go, and then pick a team almost for 2027. And that's an idea that was mentioned to me without me even asking, by someone quite close to Max Verstappen. So I wouldn't rule that out as an idea either. I don't know whether they're just playing games, of course, just to sort of stir the pot a bit. But why not? You know, he's talked about wanting to, as Abby said, Le Mans is the one that he's really interested in. He goes testing in GT3 cars a lot. He's either racing his Formula 1 car, or he's racing a GT3 Aston Martin, or he's racing online. He just races. That's all he does, basically, Max Verstappen. I always think it's a bit of a laugh when he says, oh, I'm just going to go off and do something else, because quite often with drivers, I mean, sometimes they do it. Like Alonso, for example, did go off and do it. Did do the Indy 500, did win Le Mans twice.
Bit of Dakar as well.
And he's done Dakar, and I think he wants to go back to Dakar probably when he's 75 now, Fernando Alonso.
Take, therefore, this eventuality more serious than we were taking it before. Andrew Benson, for context, is one of the goatiest ones. Again, he doesn't bat 1,000 because nobody does. But if he's saying that he's been told by a reliable source close to the Max Verstappen camp that it's a very real possibility that Max might take a sabbatical in 2026, take some time, spend some time with a newborn, the little one, and then come back in 2027 and see where the land lies and take his pick of the litter: Aston Martin, Mercedes, maybe even go back to Red Bull, do like Alain Prost did, take a step back and come back in 1993 even, in that dominant Williams car. Survey his environment, take everything that's his as one of the, if not the best driver on the grid as at April of 2025. It's getting techie, chap. These rumours are picking up. Aston Martin was yesterday the bloody 300 million, 100 million US dollars per year. That's in the offing. Ergo, I don't think these two stories, to bookend this soliloquy, me talking extemporaneously, I don't think these two instances are mutually exclusive. I would contend that they are all options on the table as far as Max Verstappen's concerned. Could he still go over to Mercedes, the boys and girls from Brackley and Brixworth? Of course. How do we know? Because George Russell hasn't got himself a contract yet, and he is good, really good. You don't leave that dude to wind down his contract with less than 12 months left, unless there's something else in the offing. F1 history doesn't repeat, but it does rhyme. You recall Ferrari... you'll recall Ferrari dillied and dallied around with Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc's contract. Then everybody was saying the same thing. Why are Ferrari taking so long with these two prime young hungry lions contracts? As far as F1 peddlers, you don't mess about with the contracts unless you have something else in the offing. Ferrari and Frederick Vasseur did then. It had a name, and its name was Sir Lewis Hamilton. I would contend the following: Mercedes and Toto, the boy who cried wolf, are doing the same, for he and they will drop kick in the chest George Russell if it means getting a whiff of Max Verstappen's contract. Don't think for a second that Lawrence Stroll won't be doing everything to sign the one that they call Maximilian Verstappen. Fernando Alonso has basically told us as much per the press conference. And so too, C-suite exec level bods at Aston Martin are telling sponsors that they will be signing Max Verstappen imminently, and they need to factor that into mind. Telling you, chat gets techie than techie things. I'll see you shortly, 30 minutes before FP3. Between now and then, prosecution rests. No further questions, Your Honour.